All right, everybody, what is going on? Good Wednesday morning. Hope you guys are doing well. We've got some college football stuff to look at today. Real quick, because of the holiday this week, me and the Hawks Nest are going to do our show today rather than tomorrow. So that's going to go live at about noon, and we're just going to talk a little bit about the Titans game, talk about the Vikings game coming up here. You guys know the drill, but it's a day early. Didn't want to try to do it in the middle of the early game on Thanksgiving. That didn't make any sense. So we're just going to go ahead and push it out today. All right. So, college football this last week, honestly, a lot of really one-sided games and a lot of games that were not interesting off the bat. Like you had teams like Texas A&M playing, I think, Sanford, and that kind of set the tone for the entire week. So it wasn't a great week. We did have some pretty high-level performances, though. The thing is, a lot of the top-level guys sat out this week. All right, guys, before I go any further, I want to tell you guys about my buddies over at Sleeper. And let me tell you, if you're not using Sleeper for daily fantasy football, you are missing out. Check out the left side of your screen right now. Look at all the fun stuff you can get up to. Look at all the stuff you can pick one way or the other on. I've got an entry for this week, the Thanksgiving week of football. We got George Pickens over 75.5 yards against Kansas City. I got Chase Brown and JSN scoring anytime touchdowns in their respective games. And I've got Josh Allen throwing for at least 2 touchdowns against Pittsburgh. Get on over there. You can put together bet slips just like this one. And if you use promo code SBN, that is SBN, you can get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Check out Sleeper today. Go put your picks down and have fun with sports this year. All right. So, going to start with running backs. Going to do the offense in this video. Going to do the defense in a couple of hours. It was actually a good week for running backs by and large. It was a lot of positive stuff here. Jeremiah Love, of course, Notre Dame. I think they won like 70-7, and they only had the ball for about 16 minutes. Really weird game. 8 carries, 171 yards, 3 touchdowns. It wasn't really fair, right? It wasn't a fair fight, but I mean, 3 touchdowns and 171 yards, you're still going to get here. Got targeted once in the passing game, didn't catch it. 92.9 PFF, about as good as it gets. Although LJ Martin may have given him a run for his money, workhorse game for him and BYU. 32 carries, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also caught 3 passes for 44 yards, 83.4. So it was a pretty strong week for the top. Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton both made the list this week. Both the Penn State running backs. They had great games in their own way. Katron Allen, 160 yards on 25 carries, 2 touchdowns. Really good stuff. No production as a receiver, though, 73.8. And that's mostly because Singleton did the heavy lifting there. Now, Singleton only had 44 yards rushing. Only on 7 carries, though, so it's not like he was inefficient. But he also had the 2 touchdowns. 3 catches, 51 yards, 3 targets. So he was very effective there and ended up with an almost 100-yard day. We're 95 yards on 10 catches. I definitely give that a lot of credence. 91 PFF grade. So good stuff there. And new name here, haven't talked about this guy yet. Emmett Johnson of Nebraska is making a little bit of a late season push here. Really good game for the Cornhuskers. 100 yards on the ground, about 50 yards through the air on 8 catches. So he's providing a lot for an offense that isn't exactly great this year. 60.5 PFF, not sterling. I'm not sure why this was so low. When you look at the production, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but whatever. PFF, gonna PFF sometimes. He's a name to look out for now in day 3, I think, for sure, and he could move up. There's still time. All right, so that's the running backs. Wide receiver, pretty okay week for receivers, not the best, though. Again, a lot of the top guys didn't play, and some of the top guys that played barely played because their games got out of hand so quickly. Jacoby Lane for USC, 6 catches, 108 yards, 10 targets, though, so not the most efficient game he's ever had. 66.4, workable. Skylar Bell of UConn, we've talked about him a little bit before. 8 catches, 12 targets, 125 yards. So again, efficiency not elite, but still highly productive, 64 PFF. And here's a new name, I believe no relation, Kevin Coleman Jr. of Missouri. 7 catches, 115 yards. Again, efficiency is kind of not the best. 10 targets, but it's nice to have a new guy to talk about here, 68.4 PFF. So he's a name now, Kevin Coleman Jr. Bryce Lance, we've discussed him before. Yes, there is a relation here, by the way. I think I've mentioned that. North Dakota State, not a coincidence. Weird game, only 3 catches, but 106 yards, 2 touchdowns, including an 81-yard touchdown. So it was kind of like Nick Harbor's game last week. And it was a week where a game like this gets you a lot of credit. There weren't a ton of standout receiver performances. 81.9. I don't know if his game translates to the NFL. I really don't. It may not. But good performance. And finally, we got Carlos Hernandez of Wake Forest. He had a monster game for them this week. 5 catches, 197 yards. Only 7 targets, too. Ultra efficient. 2 touchdowns, 73.2. Great stuff from him. Really liking how he's coming on strong to end the year. And that's the receivers this week. Now, the offensive line, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, not really a very good week here, and we've had a lot of weeks like this. I only got 2 names each. Jake Slaughter of Florida. Florida's offense was pretty darn impotent as well, so it certainly wasn't great, but he allowed 1 pressure in a game where Florida's clearly outmatched, by the way. Florida ran the ball okay, 4.8 yards per carry, almost 150 yards, not the worst. 69.3 PFF. It's respectable, and he's probably the top center in this draft right now, and that says more about the centers in this class than anything else, but still not bad. And Logan Jones of Iowa, he's here constantly, allowed 1 pressure. Iowa ran the ball okay, 154 yards, 3.9 yards a carry, 60.4 PFF, so kind of not great, but there's not a lot of competition at the position some weeks, man. Right guard, kind of the same thing. Jaden Roberts of Alabama was back. He played well. Alabama ran the ball well for the first time in what feels like a long time. No pressures allowed, 270 rushing yards, 5.5 yards per carry, 73.9 PFF. And final guy on the offense this week is going to be Kobe Baines of Kansas. Didn't allow any pressures, 132 rushing yards for Kansas, which is actually not great for them, but they didn't run the ball that much. Still over 6 yards a carry, 61.6 PFF grade. So there are some guys, but overall, it's proven to be it's going to be an offensive line, an interior offensive line class to forget, kind of. It's not a great year to need a center and a right guard, so I hope I'm going to have good things to find when I talk about free agency this year when it comes to some of these guys, because this may not be the year to come out with a great center or right guard, unfortunately. But that's it for the offense this week. Not a bad week overall, just I think college football in general was a little bit unengaging because, again, so many completely lopsided blowouts. Notre Dame wins a game 70-7 where they only have the ball 16 minutes. That a game like that kind of set the tone for the whole week, I feel like. All right, that's going to do it. I'll post another video in about an hour and a half with the defense. Then we'll do the show with the Hawk's Nest. And then we are moving on to things that are a little bit more engaging to all Seahawks fans. See you later.